Hot take, there is no excuse or justification that can ever be given for me to defend Marina in this situation. I understand she has a bad lifestyle. I understand her mother and father are trash. I fully am aware of that. But there is never any excuse, not just to lay your hands on another individual unprovoked, but also to maliciously plot to put someone's pet down, aka their family member, because you want to get out some anger and frustration. There is no reality. Well, I will ever side with Marina after the action she did within this episode. And once again, this might come off as cold and calloused, but I have no sympathy for what happened to Marina in this episode. I don't. Now, do I think that what happened to her was right? No, it was not the right answer, and I will get into that in a moment, because it's very important to the conversation of this episode. But I want to talk about just the actions that led to that scene. Marina obviously is a product of her environment. She is a product of a very bad household, a broken household at that, a household that has abused her, hurt her emotionally and physically. She doesn't really have anything to look forward to when she goes home, and so to get out any form of frustration, and the only thing she's been taught by her parents is abuse, she's going to lash out and do abuse to others. And this is how cycles of abuse continue to happen. This is why you see this even happen in real life, cycles of abuse, because when a parent or some form of close friend or whatever abuses you often, people might lash out in a way that's the exact same because that's all they know. And they might think that in some distorted way, it's the right thing to do. But regardless of how they try to justify these actions within their own head, there is never a right way or an excuse to do something like that. You don't do stuff like that. It's not a-okay. And the fact that it didn't just stop at the physical bullying of Shizuka, but she maliciously plotted to put her animal down, is the making of a psychopath. She already was on a bad path, don't get me wrong. But when you go out of your way to involve an innocent creature, an animal that literally is meant to bring happiness and joy to someone's life, and your mission is to get a creature that is just literally there to be happy and bubbly and bring joy to someone's life, and your mission is to get rid of that creature and make it put down by the animal shelter, you have lost any form of sympathy I could have for you as a person or a character. Now, I will say that I love her character, like Marina's character, the blonde-haired character, the bully. The reason why, okay, is that I'm not trying to justify her actions or give her excuse, but she's a great written antagonist. She is doing her job flawlessly. This is how an antagonist should be. It should be an antagonist that pisses you off. It should be an antagonist that makes you want to root for Shizuka. It should be an antagonist that makes you want to see Shizuka better herself and get a better life. That is what an antagonist is supposed to do. And seeing Marina in this episode, as much as I am frustrated and angry with her and feel no sympathy for what happened to her at the end of the episode, I will say that she is a great character, and I will miss her character because she really was giving so much layers and emotion to this story, and that is one thing I really appreciate about it. Excellent writing, excellent character acting, excellent voice acting, just great overall. But with that being said, I guess we need to talk about the bombshell, and that is Marina's dead end. Her life got snuffed out at the end of this episode, and let's explain what ramifications this is going to potentially have on the story. Now, the scene that follows after Marina's death is very disturbing. We see a Shizuka celebrating, jumping for joy, and the first time we really have seen her smile in the series after realizing that her bully is no longer breathing. And the scene comes off as uplifting. For instance, like the music and everything is trying to give you this vibe of uplifting and a burden has been released, but it's anything but. And it's very clear that Takopi's reaction to this is kind of what the audience is feeling in this moment, because it's like, what just happened here is a grave sin. Reference the title, Takopi's Original Sin. A life was taken. And as much as I have obviously harped on and talked about Marina and her inexcusable actions, there is no justification for taking someone's life, especially Marina's. And I think in this case, Marina definitely deserved to be, like, either charged for crimes, assault, or whatever, but taking her life was a step too far. And just as how I will call out abuse towards Shizuka, I will say that what happened to Marina is also not a-okay. And I think in this moment, what it represents is that we are seeing a degradation in the character, not just Takopi, but also Shizuka. Because this stains Takopi's hands. For instance, he now has blood on his hands, literally, after hitting her with the camera. And this is a creature that is literally about happiness. Comes from a planet that is about happiness and joy, and doesn't really understand the concept of depression, sadness, and anything in between that's negative emotion. And so this is its first real encounter with something like this. Someone just dying. And then also being the cause of it, so to speak. And this is going to really cause Takopi's personality to potentially distort. Because we gotta think about what the actions, or what led to the actions or the cause of this episode. Takopi was trying to save Shizuka. And in this moment, for the very first time, he sees Shizuka smile. She's happy. But the smile and happiness that she's feeling is because Marina's dead. So Takopi, in this moment, since he doesn't fully understand and kind of comprehend emotions, and human emotions at that, might assume that if someone is in Shizuka's way, bringing her a frown, they need to be dealt with. They need to cease to exist, so to speak. And that's what impression or logic that Takopi might come to after this episode. Now, obviously, it might go a completely different direction, and Takopi might go through some self-discovery and realize it was not a good thing. But obviously, that little warning, that red flag is now there. But it doesn't just stop at that. Shizuka feeling overjoyed and happy in this moment, it's a very complex conversation. Because we gotta think about everything that led to this moment. And I'm not trying to excuse the death of Marina. I'm not. I don't think it was right for what happened to her. But I am talking about from the perspective of Shizuka. Shizuka, as a character, has been abused continuously. Even literally just a few minutes ago, before that scene happens, she's been abused by Marina. And then found out that Marina purposely got her dog put down. In that moment, wouldn't you feel joy that that person that has brought such a horrible hellhole life to you is now gone? You probably would. I know it's an ugly emotion. It's not a good thing to think of or feel. But that is a very human emotion to feel relief in that moment, and that's exactly what she has, which obviously will give the wrong intention or vibe to Takopi, which I already discussed. But also, this could lead to Shizuka breaking down and becoming a psychopath as well, thinking it's okay to get rid of someone that causes you problems. This can lead to just her becoming just as worse, or just as bad, or worse than Marina ever could have been because of what just happened in the scene. And I'm going to be blunt with you. If this was me in this situation, I would just straight up admit that Marina died. I would. I'd be like, she died. And I mean, it wouldn't really be hard to discuss that she's been abusing me, hurting me. I mean, look at the wounds all over my body. It says enough that Marina had very ill intentions, and anyone with a proper functioning brain could see that Shizuka's been getting bullied a lot at school. They could look at her desk, they could look at how her backpack is and everything. They can easily see what's been happening, and they will rule it as just self-defense. Now, I don't live in Japan, so I don't know exactly how all that would go down, but at least when it comes to the States, that's how it would probably go down. Anyways, one thing that really upsets me about this entire situation, it's not the story's writing or anything like that, it's just in terms of just like how it's going around Shizuka's life. It irks me to so much, like, it irks me a lot that there is so many people, not just in Marina's life, but Shizuka's life, that is just completely unsupportive. It's not just the family, the parents, the households, the broken households, it's the school. The teachers literally have zero compassion or care to what is happening around them. And it has never been more obvious that someone is being bullied than what is going on with Shizuka. When you have on her desk scribbled with just die all over it, you can't ignore that. You are responsible as a teacher to step in. And if you don't, I honestly think that the teacher, in a weird way, is responsible for Marina's death. She may not have been the person to lay hands on Marina, but she is the trigger. She was the person that loaded the gun, so to speak, to cause everything to happen. and everyone around as well. And I'm just curious to see how society is going to affect Shizuka after this, because it's very clear where the story is going, that Shizuka is going to go back to school, and she's probably going to have a completely different atmosphere and emotion. She's probably going to be bubbly and happy, and most likely the reason for that is because obviously Marina is dead. And everybody around, Shizuka is going to look at her like she's a murderer. They're like, whoa, what happened to, Marina? Like, where is she? And they're going to instantly assume that she's the cause of it, especially after the dog. But I'm willing to bet you there's going to be no proof, because Takopi has a lot of different gadgets, and most likely the body is going to poof, so to speak. Now, obviously the body might be found, but you get the point. Anyways, to make a long story short, Takopi as an anime is excellent. It is easily one of the best anime of this current season, hands down. Barely any competition. I mean, there's a few shows like seasonals, like continuations that can compete, but in terms of new anime of the season, it's hard to beat this. Like, it has so much depth to it and discussion that you can really just... I could spend a long time discussing Shizuka and Marina's characters alone, not even including Takopi, and then the other family members and stuff. But I love the show. It's great. It's really good. And tell me your thoughts, honestly. How do you feel about the direction of the story? Do you think that Marina is really going to stay dead? Do you think she's going to come back in some way? Be honest in the comments below. I'm legitimately curious. But with that being said, be safe, stay healthy. Happy 4th of July. Chibi out.